Good evening, I'm Warren Nettleford. Here are the main London headlines. A 19-year-old's been jailed for life for plotting a series of terror attacks. His potential targets include an army barracks, Stratford station and police officers. Matthew King could have been just hours away from carrying out his first attack when he was arrested. Carolyn Sim has been looking at how the 19-year-old would become a would-be terrorist.
At just 19 years old, Matthew King went from converting to Islam to plotting terrorist attacks, radicalising himself online from his bedroom in Wickford. In the weeks before his arrest, King was spotted multiple times on CCTV, staking out places where he could attack. At Stratford Magistrates Court, he posted a video of 4 police officers with the message, "Target acquired." At Stratford Army Barracks, he was seen watching late at night. And at Stratford train station, he followed a police officer saying, "There's another one over there as well." While he was at Stratford station, King was chatting online to a girl who the court referred to as Miss A. They discussed going to Syria to take part in jihad, to kill non-believers and die as martyrs. In one message a few days later, the pair described in graphic detail how they would mutilate and torture a British soldier. King's phone contained videos of himself expressing a desire to kill, of Daesh propaganda, suicide bombers and mass executions. Extensive searches had been made about terror attacks in London, Manchester and America. Police discovered clothing and specialist equipment in his bedroom and an online account with the retailer Knife Warehouse on his phone.
I felt an attack was imminent. The risk to the public was now too great. Our assurance around that risk could only be met by disrupting this individual's activity before he had the opportunity to launch an attack.
It was King's mother who referred him to the authorities. She was so worried about his extremist views. And when he was arrested, he'd asked officers if the tactical vests they were wearing were bulletproof. Sentencing King, the judge said there was no doubt he was a danger to the public.
The risks around you, albeit as a young man, are clear and concerning. The way in which you say some things to professionals and yet say the contrary to others means that there is, in my judgment, no clear picture of when those risks may abate.
King will serve a minimum of 6 years behind bars and will be on licence for the rest of his life. Carolyn Sim, ITV News.
Asylum seekers say they felt forced to sleep on the street in Whitechapel after refusing to stay in what they called unsuitable accommodation provided by the Home Office. Around 30 asylum seekers were allegedly told they needed to share single rooms with 4 people without beds. They instead slept outside in makeshift cardboard boxes. Anila Dami has the story.
They're seeking refuge here, but on Wednesday night, these individuals slept with their belongings on Whitechapel Road after allegedly being forced to share single rooms with at least 4 people.
It was very, very cold. I needed clothes, food, money. It was very bad. The hotel didn't give us food.
This man, who wants to remain anonymous, fled Iran in 2021 and is in his 4th temporary accommodation. He says the streets were a better option than sharing a room with strangers. At around 9 p.m. on Wednesday, the group of around 30 from places like Afghanistan and Syria were removed from a hotel in Ilford. 12 were allegedly promised their own room in Tower Hamlets, but upon arrival, some rooms allegedly had no beds or bedding. Abdi Hassan has been helping them and says the family also slept on the streets with 2 children and a 3-year-old, and that there's concerns around the group's physical and mental well-being.
I think anyone would perhaps resist that around safeguarding or just basic security concerns. And it's about how the Home Office has treated people, how inhumane the services have been.
Whitechapel Road is a busy road and we've been told a 3-year-old was sleeping on the street. It raises a number of questions like, is there a basic requirement needed when it comes to housing those seeking asylum? Why are people who are seeking asylum being moved from accommodation to accommodation? And are there others in a similar situation across London? And if so, how many? We put those to the Home Office who haven't responded, but in regards to the situation in Whitechapel, they've said in a statement, the accommodation offered to asylum seekers by providers on a no-choice basis is of a decent standard and meets all legal and contractual requirements. and that despite the number of people arriving in the UK reaching record levels, they continue to provide accommodation at a cost of £6 million a day. Meanwhile, a different group of 40 asylum seekers apparently ended up spending 2 nights on the street in protest against what they deemed inappropriate accommodation. The leader of Westminster Council has written to the Home Secretary with his concerns, and the Home Office have issued the same statement. An agreement has now been reached to house 2 people per room in Whitechapel, but the people here are still hoping to get a room of their own. Anila Dami, ITV News.
Police trying to identify a man who was found dead in the undercarriage of a plane at Gatwick Airport have released this e-fit image. The man's body was discovered after a TUI flight from the Gambia landed at the airport last December. He's believed to have been in his 20s or 30s. The number of TfL staff paid a 6-figure salary has risen by 28% in the last year. A spokesperson for Sadiq Khan said the mayor stood by his commitment to deliver fair pay rises during the cost of living crisis. And security guards at Heathrow Airport are to stage a series of 33 new strikes in a dispute over pay. The Unite Union say the industrial action will take place on almost every weekend from mid-June until the end of August. Members of London's Windrush generation are being asked to share their memories to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the boat's arrival in Tilbury. Those who travelled on the Empire Windrush and settled here, mostly from the Caribbean, will be featured through their photographs and stories at an exhibition in Camden. But it will also highlight the many hardships they faced, as Ronke Phillips reports.
I think there was 800 odd.
Alfred Gardner was 22 years old when he boarded the Empire Windrush in Jamaica 75 years ago. He paid £28 for the journey, and he still remembers his first impression when the ship docked at Tilbury in Essex.
Everything was cold.
And what was life like then for a black man?
Life was what you made it.
Now 97, Alfred's life is the centrepiece of a photographic exhibition at Clapham Library about the Windrush generation. He's one of only 2 known adult survivors from the original group. After he left the RAF, he worked as an engineer, married and raised 8 children. Over the years, he's seen it all: racism, cruelty, generosity and kindness. But his has been a life well lived.
Who had a brilliant life? Brilliant. If I could do it, I would do it all over.
The exhibition was put together by local photographer Jim Grover. The display features 9 stories, each focusing on a typical aspect of Caribbean life and culture.
If you're of the Caribbean community, you will discover people doing amazing things to keep your distinctive culture alive.
I think the exhibition is incredible.
An important part of the voyage through the generations is the stories of those who were born here. Selina Carty is 3rd generation, but has chosen to delve into ancestry as a career.
Now I'm a cultural and ancestral genealogist, helping all people to find and trace their history and heritage. Everybody knows we have a relevance, and that when we're looking at community and culture, but each one of us have intrinsic value in what it means now, what it meant then, and what it means in the future.
These portraits of a generation give an insight into the lives of the families who made their homes here 75 years ago. It's not all been plain sailing, and at times the going has been rough. But at 97, Alfred is still dancing, and he hasn't finished yet.
There's still things I'd love to do, but I won't be able to.
Why not?
I haven't got the money.
Ronke Phillips, ITV News.
OK, there's been some sunny days and warm temperatures this week. Will that continue for football fans at Wembley and racing enthusiasts at Epsom this weekend? Here's Chris Page.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV London Weekend Weather.
Hello there. Very good evening to you. Yes, today across the capital, after seeing some patchy amounts of cloud this morning, things did soon brighten up through much of the afternoon. And as we look towards the weekend, we continue that story as well. We've been seeing a lot of dry weather, still with some sunshine, and if you're out of the breeze at least, it will feel quite pleasant as well. Now overnight tonight we do have some clear skies around, patchy amounts of cloud just drifting their way in from the North Sea there, but by dawn tomorrow morning temperatures for most of us should be holding up between 7 and 9 degrees. We start first thing then as we go through Saturday, still with the patchy amounts of cloud at first, but very quickly that strong sunshine getting to work, burning away a lot of the cloud to reveal more clear skies through much of the afternoon, just some fair weather cloud here and there, and top temperatures ranging between 20 to 22 degrees Celsius. Just remember that our UV levels are generally in the high to very high category. Now as we go through Saturday night and into Sunday, a little more cloud rolling in from the North Sea that burns back in that strong sunshine on Sunday to reveal more clear skies, and again still with some fairly light winds. Warm and pleasant in that sunshine, touch more cloud on Monday. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Vaillant sponsors ITV London Weekend Weather.
That's it from all of us in the London team. A very good night.